Good day. Our lesson for today is all about fundamentals of ethics. The origin of ethics. Ethics, derived from the Greek word ethos, meaning character, was originally about cultivating moral character and living virtuously. In ancient Greece, Socrates pioneered the use of questioning, known as the Socratic method, to explore fundamental concepts like justice and goodness. He believed that examining these ideas was crucial, famously asserting that unexamined life is not worth living. The definition of ethics. Ethics refers to well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, or specific virtues. Ethics derive from the Greek ethos, meaning character or custom, and the Roman mores, leading to terms like morality, relates to the customs and traditions of a community. Because customs vary between cultures, ethics can be relative. For example, software piracy might be seen as acceptable in some Asian cultures but is considered unethical and illegal in the US. Thus, what is considered ethical can differ depending on cultural norms. Ethics is the study of the morality of human actions. Ethics examines the morality of human actions, determining whether they are ethical or unethical based on the surrounding circumstances and the standards accepted by a particular community or group. Ethics focuses on the care for the soul. Ethics is concerned with the spiritual or religious care of the soul. Actions deemed unlawful, unethical, or immoral are seen as sins that corrupt the soul. In computing, this perspective views activities like fraud, spreading viruses, and promoting pornography as unethical because they harm the soul and are thus considered immoral. Ethics is an area of philosophy that deals with man's pursuit of the good life. Ethics is a branch of philosophy focused on achieving the good life through ethical behavior. The idea is that living ethically leads to fulfilling life. For example, a web designer who creates freeware that benefits many users is seen as acting ethically because their actions contribute positively to the community and align with the pursuit of a good life. Ethics is the study and philosophy of human conduct with emphasis on determination of right and wrong. Ethics involves analyzing human behavior to determine what actions are right or wrong. It judges actions as either ethical or unethical. For instance, the ethical or unethical nature of behaviors like creating freeware or communicating fraud is assessed according to these standards.
Ethics deals with the basic principles of right action, especially with the reference to a particular person, profession, and others. The definition of ethics pertains to norms that govern human actions and omissions in every facet of life, whether they involve people in general, or a group of people engaged in the practice of profession or craft in particular. Ethics is a concept suggests the notion of correct or incorrect practices relative to various concerns or fields of study. This is somewhat similar to the immediately preceding definition of ethics. The evident impetus for this definition is a growing need to address moral issues and unethical practices within the boundaries of various areas of study. While there is no universal definition of ethics, a relative perception of what is correct or not, or right or wrong, is usually adopted and used to guide people's actions in various human concerns. Ethics refers to the principles that guide what is considered right or wrong in human behavior, whether in personal life, professions, or other areas. It helps people decide what actions are morally acceptable or not, based on shared norms and values. Ethics addresses moral dilemmas and guides conduct towards to responsible and fair behavior in different contexts of life and work. The various applied ethics include environmental ethics, nursing ethics, biomedical ethics, legal ethics, and computer ethics, among many others. In all fields where ethics is adopted as an ordering principle, you will observe that it always directs human actions and omissions, thus revealing its concern for the promotion of good values, correct practices, and right attitudes. Although particular and distinct sets of ethical principles and norms are usually embraced and enforced for each enterprise or concern, all these point towards a methodical and formal system of human actions and omissions. Applied ethics involves using ethical principles in specific fields like environmental ethics, nursing ethics, and legal ethics. In each field, ethics guides people on what actions are right or wrong, promoting good behavior and attitudes. For example, in nursing ethics, principles like patient confidentiality and respect for patient autonomy helps nurses make decisions that are in the best interests of their patients. Despite the differences in each field, the goal is the same: to ensure actions are guided by a clear and structured system of moral values. The need to study ethics, to clear why one act is better than another. Number 2, to have an orderly social life, to intelligently appraise and criticize moral conduct and ethical systems, to point out the true values of life. Understanding better choices. Ethics helps us understand why some actions are better or more right than others. Maintaining social order. It promotes a well-organized and peaceful society by guiding how people should behave. Evaluating morality. Studying ethics allows us to thoughtfully judge and critique moral behaviors and ethical systems. Recognizing life's true values. It helps identify and emphasize the important values that should guide our lives. Assumptions of ethics. Assumptions are fundamental beliefs or statements that are acceptable to be true without the burden of proving of proof. Man is a rational being. It is assumed that humans have the ability to think logically and make reasoned decisions. Man is free. It is believed that humans have the freedom to choose their actions and are responsible for those choices. These assumptions form the foundation of ethical thinking, allowing us to discuss and evaluate moral decisions based on reason and free will. The objects of ethics. The physical object of ethics. The doer of an act is the physical object of ethics. The physical object of ethics does not only refer to a person but to an institution that perform moral actions and other rational activities such as decision-making, moral calculations, and etc. The non-physical object of ethics, the action done by the moral agent, such as the act of telling the truth, helping others in distress, fulfilling a promise, forgiving others' trespasses, humility, including malicious deeds, such as murder, stealing, lying, etc., are called the non-physical object of ethics. Though considering the nature of moral agent is important in ethical analysis, it is the act and not the doer of the act which is considered to be the formal objects of ethics. The physical object of ethics. This refers to the person or entity that performs moral actions. These are the doers of ethical acts and are responsible for decisions and behaviors. Non-physical object of ethics. This refers to the actions themselves, such as telling the truth, helping others, or committing wrongs, like lying or stealing. In ethical analysis, the focus is more on the nature of these actions rather than the person or entity performing them. In essence, ethics examines both the who and the what in determining what is right or wrong.
Acts of man. Actions done under the circumstances, ignorance, passions, fear, violence, and habits. Involuntary natural acts. Some functions are involuntary performed, such as breathing, digestion,
heart beating, eye reflexes, but some involuntary action have a voluntary control to a certain extent. Example are breathing, salivation, deglutition, defecation, maturation, urination, and others. And we have the voluntary natural acts done with the knowledge of consent, acts which are proper to a man's rational beings, acts which are consciousness and other control for which responsible. Human acts action that are consciously or freely done requiring knowledge, freedom, and voluntariness. And we are the classification of human acts. The number one is moral or ethical acts, immoral or antithetical acts, and the three is amoral or neutral acts. We have moral acts. Ethics are distinct from moral is that they vary more practical or a moral present is an idea opinion that's driven by a desire to be good. An ethical code is a set rules of defines allowable actions and correctness behavior. And we have the immoral or unethical acts. Violating moral principle not conforming to the terms of conduct usually accepted or established as consistent with principle, personal, and social ethics. And the number three is amoral or natural acts. Having or showing no concern about whether behavior is morally right or wrong. And we are the components of moral act. The first one is the intention or motivate of the act. And the number two, the means of the act. The act or object employed to carry out of the intent of the act. And the number three, and the end of the act. The act intent of the act is assumed to be always directed toward a desired and or perceived a good. It becomes to the basis or foundation to the intent of the act.